The medical examiner's office in New York City released its findings today into the brain condition of Shane Tamura. He's the man who carried out the deadly shooting, police say, in Midtown office building this summer that included the NFL headquarters. Here's ABC's Aaron Katursky.
The medical examiner's office was clear in announcing that they had found unambiguous evidence Shane Tamura did have low-grade CTE in his brain tissue. They said the science is still evolving. Officially, he died by suicide of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and it's not clear at all that the CTE played a role either in his suicide or in the attack that unfolded at 345 Park Avenue.
4 people were killed in that shooting spree. A group of stations that continued to preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live announcing today that the show will be back on again.
Jimmy Kimmel!
When Jimmy Kimmel Live returned to ABC earlier this week after the show was paused following remarks involving the murder of Charlie Kirk, 2 companies that own ABC affiliates, Nexstar and Sinclair, continued to postpone the show. Now both companies announcing they will end their preemptions of Jimmy Kimmel Live effective immediately. That means the show is returning to markets like Seattle, St. Louis, Nashville, and Washington, D.C. Sinclair saying it is inconsistent to champion free speech while demanding that broadcasters air specific content.
ABC's Alex Stone. I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Terry's Tiny Homes, Terry! Sure, as the only employee of her company, Terry was probably the front runner, but saving money getting personalized discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive, well, that gave Terry the edge. Over Terry.
Terry, Terry.
Keep awkwardly
Terry,
chanting your own name, Terry. You deserve it.
Woo!
Be your own Terry. See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
4:05 on this beautiful Friday afternoon, and I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News headlines as we head into KVNU's For the People show. Well, a new legislative audit has found significant cybersecurity weaknesses at Utah's public and higher education schools. Now, the audit that was released yesterday was prompted by the December 2024 data breach that impacted about 450,000 students in the Granite School District. Now, the report found that the K-12 districts are not fully implementing baseline cybersecurity practices, with smaller districts facing the biggest challenges due to a lack of staffing and training. Now, the audit also found room for improvement in universities' security controls and governance. It recommended that state lawmakers consider setting minimum cybersecurity standards for schools to be able to reduce the risk of future data breaches and financial losses. In other news, the Leonardo Museum in downtown Salt Lake, which has been known for its science and creativity exhibits, has permanently closed its doors after 15 years, citing insurmountable issues with the 61-year-old building. Now, the museum, which hosted popular rotating exhibits like the Body Worlds and also historical displays on Pompeii and the Titanic, announced its closure on its website. Now, the museum had closed indefinitely back in June for repairs, but officials determined that the infrastructure needed to operate, which included escalators, elevators, and plumbing, and had reached the end of its serviceable life. Now, the closure follows years of financial struggles and friction with Salt Lake City. Museum officials thanked the community and expressed hope that the curiosity fostered by its exhibits would continue. And communities surrounding Utah's national parks are preparing for a possible federal government shutdown next week. Now, while Utah has allocated funds to keep parks open, visitor services would be sharply reduced under National Park Service plans. Now, in Springdale, a gateway to Zion National Park, the local mayor there said that the park's shuttle system would likely stop, which would force visitors to have to drive and potentially cause severe traffic congestion. Meanwhile, a local tour guide also expressed concern that a shutdown could lead to a free-for-all of increased litter and vandalism without proper staffing. Well, we're going to continue to see clear skies overnight tonight as temperatures are going to drop into the low 40s after we've been in the low 80s today. Tonight, well, temperatures looks like over the next several nights going to stay mostly clear until we hit Sunday, as temperatures will get up to around the high 70s. We'll start to see a chance of some clouds, bringing with us some isolated showers and thunderstorms, and that chance of showers will increase as we head into Monday and Tuesday of next week. And it's Mount Logan Laundry bringing you weather here at the top of the hour. When it comes to taking care of your hunting equipment, or maybe you've got quilts and blankets you're starting to pull out of storage, take them into Mount Logan Laundry. Their large washers and dryers can save you time and also money compared to dry cleaning. It's Mount Logan Laundry. And I'm Will Theorite with your KVNU News headlines.
Hey there, quick question. Wouldn't it be nice if your home stayed cool in the summer and warm in the winter without your HVAC working overtime? With Cardinal Spray Foam insulation, it can. They use an insulation that seals the gaps you didn't know you had, keeping air in, comfort up, and energy bills down. I guarantee you'll feel the difference. Plus, you could qualify for a $1,200 tax credit. Call 755-5012 or look them up online. Cardinal's Insulation, 755-5012.
Local news and the best talk. News Talk KVNU.
Thanks to you, Prime IV is a 2025 Best of Northern Utah Gold winner for alternative therapies. We're so excited. Thank you for your votes, your support, and for letting us do what we love.
Hey business owners, are you frustrated with your workers' comp rates? This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. As an independent auto owners agency, we work with multiple carriers and will give you options. Our experienced agents are ready to answer your questions and help you navigate these options. Let us help you find the workers' comp policy that's right for your business. Call us today, 435-752-0101.
Everyone has an estate, but do you have an estate plan? This is Jace Allen, Northern Utah's estate planning attorney. At Allen Law Office, wills and trusts are what we do. If you've been putting it off, now is the time to get it done. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your loved ones, protect your legacy, protect your assets. Start today at cashlegal.com or just search Allen Law Office. Wills and trusts are what we do. Allen Law Office.
KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, online at 610kvnu.com and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Friday, September 26th. I'm Jason Williams. Thank you for tuning in. 78 degrees here at the Radio Ranch at 4:11 in the afternoon. Getting a little warmer out there again towards the end of the week. As you heard from Will there in the news break, though, some clouds, potentially some moisture over the weekend. Warmer temperatures holding up, though. And it's... So far, that long-term forecast we talked about a few weeks ago here on the show is holding up. That long-term forecast, again, saying it was going to be a noticeably drier and warmer fall and early winter here in Utah than is typically the case. And long-term forecasters saying there's a chance we don't see snow that actually sticks to the valley floors until mid to late December. So we'll see. It's Utah. Long-term forecast is a best guess, and sometimes we're just sailing along and enjoying a nice warm fall, and then boom, surprise winter, 3 feet of snow. So we'll see what happens, but it's nice out there today. Quick programming note here on the show. We will be wrapping up about 10 minutes early tonight for the high school football pregame. Mountain Crest Mustangs at Desert Peak Golden Eagles, live stream at CashValleyDaily.com. You also have Skyview and Ridgeline, live stream at CashValleyDaily.com. And Green Canyon versus Bear River, also live streaming at CashValleyDaily.com. But here on KVNU tonight, Logan High at Union Football. This game was bumped up They do this occasionally when there's quite a travel distance, so that no team is getting home at 2 or 3 in the morning on a Friday night. But they still get home late, but this makes it at least an hour less late. So that game has been bumped from a 7 p.m. usual start time for high school football games to a 6 p.m. start time. And so to make room for the pregame, we'll wrap up the For the People movie show will wrap up a bit early, around 5:50 today. We'll hand things over to the live commentary, Alan Peacock doing that commentary tonight. And the Logan game is an audio-only broadcast. So I point that one out specifically. The rest of them, again, you can both hear on our airwaves. For example, Green Canyon and Bear River is broadcasting live on 100.9 FM, but also live streaming at CashValleyDaily.com. Skyview versus Ridgeline is broadcasting live on 106.9 The Fan and 1390 AM, and live streaming at CashValleyDaily.com. And Mountain Crest at Desert Peak, broadcasting live on 107.7 KLZX, and also live streaming video at CashValleyDaily.com. But the Logan game, again, Logan at Union Football, is audio only here on KVNU 610 AM, 102.1 FM. And that's just a necessary factor there. There is there is an audio live stream at kvnutalk.com that you can find as well if you aren't able to listen via traditional radio. But again, no streaming video for the Logan High game tonight. But it will start at 6 o'clock here on KVNU, and we'll go to the pregame, cut into our show a bit tonight at 5:50. But to make up for that, Andy Morgan joining us a little bit early today, so you're not shortchanged on Andy Morgan Talk and all of the latest movie news. Speaking of which, Superman hit HBO last week, and some interesting numbers on that for a film that surprisingly wasn't huge. I mean, it made its money, to say the least, and more than 4 times over made its money if you include international markets. So it did really well, but not like, those Marvel movies were doing there, especially the Avengers. But it was a pretty big hit for DC. But once it hit HBO, man, it was like a second release date for this movie. So we'll talk about that a little bit. What is behind that? So that's coming up again later on with the For the People movie show. And it is, a big movie weekend as well. So a quick note. In fact, if anyone went to this, I'd like to hear from you. I wasn't able to attend, but the first of, as you heard from Jack Draxler in a revisit of our interview from a couple of weeks ago that we aired yesterday on the show while I was out, these 3 public meetings that are planned for the form of government committee are underway now. One south, one central in Logan, and one north in Smithfield. And it is, I don't know, this is so interesting to me, but I'm curious what you thought if you went to the first last night. This was at Hiram City Hall last evening. Charlie Schill was able to attend and has a nice write-up at CashValleyDaily.com. And this was an opportunity for the committee, members of the committee, to kind of give a presentation on their research so far, what they've found so far, and how they're doing the research. Utah State University political science professor Damon Cann, and a consultant for the committee, was also there to offer some explanations of some of the research he's done and presented to the committee on salaries and things like that. And present at the committee meeting last night, the public meeting for the committee last night in Hiram, was Chair Jack Draxler and our guest here on the show, and committee members Jordan Mathis of Bear River Health Department, and mayors Ed Bust from Mendon and Blake Wright from River Heights. And it was... there were also members of the Cache County Council. In fact, Council Chair Sandy Goodlander was there, and Councilmember Nolan Gunnell. And they didn't speak. They weren't a part of the official presentation or the feedback from the audience, but they were there to hear what the audience had to say, I'm sure. And because this is something that once the committee is finished with its work and makes recommendations, the council is going to have to vote. And they may just vote to do nothing. They may vote to put this on the ballot to let voters decide. They may decide to study it further. There are a lot of different options. But so a lot of people in attendance last night, and a decent-sized crowd, Charlie tells me. And again, you can read his full write-up at cashvalleydaily.com. But there were some interesting questions. Providence Mayor Kathleen Alder asked what problems or issues the study committee was intending to solve by looking into this. And as Jack Draxler, former state lawmaker, Republican lawmaker, told us when he was here in the studio, he reiterated that last night. He said that there isn't an answer to that question. It was, and so he kind of threw it out to the audience, it sounds like, and said, what do you think? In the studio, Draxler used frequently the word personalities, that the committee is strongly trying to avoid getting into different form of government personalities, people who just believe one is better than the other for reasons. And so he threw that out to the audience and said, ask them if they could offer an answer to that question, because that's the point of the committee, Draxler explained, is looking at this to see if there is a problem to solve, looking at this to say, is there a better way for the county to be governed? Remember, the way Cache County does it right now, with basically an elected council and elected mayor, although we call it the county executive, you have the executive branch and the legislative branch, and of course judiciary is mixed in there as well if it comes up, just like the federal government, just like the state government. So it's repeating that model, and that's one reason I think people prefer it. But there are other larger and even equal-sized counties in Utah that long ago moved away from this for either a 3-member commission or even, in a couple of cases, a 7-member commission. They can go up to 9, according to state law, but none have. And so Cache County's form is one of the rarest in Utah. But the committee's job is to just ask questions and see if they can come up with some answers. And, as we've discussed here on the show, one example, and this completely challenged my priors, if I'd had to place some kind of a bet on which form of county government would cost the most, I would have said the commissioner style. My whole life, basically, well, not my whole life, but as long as I've known about different styles of county government, I've always assumed that the commissioner style of government was the most expensive as far as salaries go, taxpayer dollars going to salaries, because a 3-member commission, the commissioners are full-time. And then also they not being experts and having to do the job of both executive and legislative branches at once, what they tend to do is hire a lot of highly qualified professionals. And that happens throughout Utah. And that led me to believe that would make that a more costly, just salary-wise, because as Draxler told us, he said, if you're talking overall costs, there are a lot of different factors, not just salaries. You can get looking into how long it takes them to solve a problem, how long it takes them to have a vote on doing something to repair a piece of infrastructure or a road, and then you can estimate out known costs of delays and slow movement at a time when a quick movement is going to be cheaper. Also, there are costs associated with not planning ahead. It is far more expensive to fix a broken sewer pipe when it breaks. Kind of like the ball joints on your car. If you have a ball joint break on your truck, the potential for it to tear everything out when that wheel comes off on a slow turn is going to cost you a lot more money than just taking it in and having a $20 part replaced. And so that's kind of the example I like to use. But yeah, doing things in advance is always cheaper. And so, if you're looking to look at overall costs, maybe this committee might find that one form of government over the other is less able to proactively plan and that increases costs to taxpayers in the big picture. But just salary-wise, it was a wash. Basically, they found that throughout the state of Utah, salary totals in all 29 counties were roughly the same. Whether it was 3 commissioners having to hire a slew of highly paid, qualified professionals to get the job done, or whether it was an elected council or legislative branch of some kind with a mayor or executive branch mixed in there, the salaries were roughly comparable, and that surprised me. So, again, the point of this isn't necessarily that there's an immediate problem to solve. The point is to say, look, we recognize we're growing. We recognize there are, additional challenges for the county as we grow, and looking at population projections, this is a good time to say, is this the best way to govern? And maybe everyone decides, yeah, we nailed it, and no need to change. Or maybe my guess is the most likely outcome is the study committee makes some recommendations that are non-conclusive, saying, here's what we found. Here's a lot of stuff for you to consider as council members. And then the council decides to either keep the study going a bit more to look deeper, because this is, kind of a rushed, 9-month process is what they're going to be basically looking at, or 7 months, sorry. And maybe the council decides, we need to look at this deeper, and so they extend the study. Or maybe they just temporarily shelve the whole thing and say, nothing conclusive that we've nailed it, that this is the best way to govern the county, but nothing that says we need to act now. And so maybe we'll just kind of sit on this for a year or 2, 5 years even, and see what happens as population continues to inch up. Well, not inch up, jump up. So if anyone was there last night at this first public hearing where the committee presented some of their findings in a brief presentation, Damon Cann, political science professor and consultant to the committee, spoke as well. And then audience members, including some elected officials who were in attendance, had a chance to ask some questions. I'm curious if you went in thinking one thing and came out thinking another. 753-5868 if you were able to attend the meeting in Hiram last night. If you weren't able to attend, you've got 2 more chances. The next meeting, October 16th at Logan City Hall, and then the third and last public meeting on this will be October 23rd at the Smithfield City Hall. Both of those meetings start at 7 at the respective city halls. So October 16th at Logan City Hall, and October 23rd at Smithfield City Hall. If you missed the one in Hiram, it doesn't matter where you live. They just decided these 3 locations. You don't have to be a resident of the city it's held in to attend. So 2 more, October 16th, Logan City Hall, and October 23rd, Smithfield City Hall, both at 7 p.m. And you can read the full write-up from Charlie Schill, who attended the meeting in Hiram last night, at CashValleyDaily.com, and we'll be back right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
The Cache Valley Media Group's Holiday Gift Show is now accepting applications for the 2025 show November 14th and 15th at the Riverwoods Conference Center. Show your creative, unique, festive, and one-of-a-kind gift ideas to thousands of holiday shoppers. It's a wonderful gift show that is truly a step above. Search Logan Holiday Gift Show for details or call 752-1390 for more information. The Logan Holiday Gift Show, a premier holiday shopping destination. Space is limited, so reserve yours today.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Banks require good credit, so how does that work at Dollar Loan Center?
Look, a lot of people have a crappy credit score, Craig. So what? That's our specialty, and we look at the whole picture, not just a number.
We love to say yes quickly because we know it's important to our borrowers.
Well, what if you were denied in the past?
I love that question. If you were denied in the past and are still looking for a loan, before you go somewhere else and pay way too much, give us another shot. Everyone's situation changes. You might have a cosigner, new job, or raise, who knows, but we sure would like a chance to help you out.
DLC lends up to $5,000 in minutes, and you can get your cash in person at one of our 70 locations, on our website, don'tbebroke.com, or even over the phone with one of our helpful, real staff members. You're gonna love Dollar Loan Center.
Licensed by the Utah Department of Financial Institutions. Subject to approval, limitations may apply. See website for details.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Monday on This Morning, America's First News. California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom is almost unrecognizable politically these days. Hear his new shift on fossil fuels. Also, the inflation focus has shifted. Key monthly costs, like for rent, food, healthcare, and electricity, are outpacing inflation. And the hidden and growing costs of owning a car. When can we catch a break? Monday on This Morning, America's First News.
Monday morning from 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Deseret News asked an interesting question today, and it's one that kind of divides people on unpredictable lines. You can't say for sure that if a person is maybe right-leaning or left-leaning or moderate, where they're going to fall on this one. But the issue is public funding of homeschooling. And then a secondary, but I would say even more important issue is if you are going to publicly fund homeschooling, how do you make it accountable? How do you track where the dollars are going? There were some problems. Utah lawmakers are still promising a solution to this, though one hasn't popped up yet, where we saw a report from the Salt Lake Tribune based on public records request. The taxpayer dollars that would normally go towards directly to schools and school districts were being used by homeschooling families to buy trips to Europe, to tour castles, which, I guess is educational, but maybe not the best use of those taxpayer dollars. Kayaks, piano lessons, which that I actually defend. But it's a controversial topic for that reason. There are legal issues around it because then you sort of get into a question like you do with private schools of, okay, what if it's a religious private school? And, First Amendment, the government cannot establish a religion. So if you're going to give taxpayer dollars to a religious private school, then you have to give taxpayer dollars to anyone who starts a religious private school. And in fact, a fake church that actually has a footprint in Boise, Idaho, of all places, it doesn't really exist, but it's called the Church of Satan, and it's called that to make a point. These are people, First Amendment fans, who are trying to make a point by, anytime a state says, okay, you have to display the 10 Commandments in schools, they take advantage of First Amendment protections and go to that same school district and say, okay, if you're going to display the 10 Commandments, here are the 9 other religious basically lists or even in one case prayers that you also have to post on the wall next to the 10 Commandments. And legally, yeah, if the districts are going to post one, they have to post them all. And can you imagine that wall of religious artifacts and doctrine that would have to be up there to get every religion on the planet, which leads most people to say, hey, how about we just don't do this? How about we just don't sanction one religion at all in public schools? And that debate will never end. And it's an interesting debate. So, when you get a chance to play in it, I guess jump in. But the question then becomes, does that also apply to homeschooling? Because then you're talking about someone doing something in their private home. And I lean very strongly no on that one. I don't like the idea of the government, whether it's being headed up by Donald Trump or Joe Biden or Barack Obama or George H.W. Bush. I don't like the idea of the government getting that involved in what's going on in a person's home, and that is going to discourage people from homeschooling, which I also think the government shouldn't be in the business of doing. If someone wants to homeschool, there's so many reasons to homeschool. Here in Utah, I think that people have kind of a very generic, one-dimensional view of homeschooling because the loudest homeschoolers are usually the coming from the either libertarian or even anti-vax pockets of Utah County. But there are many people who homeschool here in Cache Valley because they have children with special needs, and they can tailor the education more specifically to that one student, their son or daughter, and I think they should be able to get public funds for that. That said, I do have concerns about the accountability on all of this. When the Salt Lake Tribune published that story showing that one family used some of their $8,000 that they got from taxpayers for the year to homeschool, they used $3,000 of that $8,000 to buy a family trip to Europe for touring castles. I don't think we should be doing that. I don't think that's where taxpayer dollars are most well spent. So the Deseret News today takes a look at all the states that are, in one way or another, funding homeschooling. And again, keep in mind, this here in Utah, this tends to be seen as something that is more popular on the right. But if you go to a blue state, you'll find that it's very popular on the left for totally different reasons. But this is not really a left or a right kind of thing. It's just how many of us understand it, depending on where you live. But Deseret News looked into this. Utah's House Bill 215, signed into law in 2023, creating the school voucher program, also included provision to voucher that money out of state public school funds to homeschoolers. And the Deseret News looked into that and looked nationwide and said, okay, just how popular is this really? And what they found, Washington Post has something on this as well, but it's a year old. Deseret News is using newer data. They go up to end of 2024, whereas Washington Post just went to mid 2024. But what they found is that census numbers estimate about 5% of families homeschooled in 2020, and that has jumped to about 11% here in 2025 or 2024. That's the last data they had to use. And Utah saw a similar rate of increase from 5.7 to 11.2, so 0.2 above the national average, but not statistically significant. And so about 5,000 families here in Utah are getting a lump sum of $8,000 to go towards private school, is how that breaks down. And about 80% of voucher recipients in the first year here in Utah were homeschoolers. So what the Deseret News found in short is that this question, which is a national question, debated at the congressional level sometimes, is a really important question here in Utah because more people are using the school voucher program to pull their kids out of public education into homeschooling than they are going towards charter and private schools, which is how voucher programs traditionally are designed to work when Republican states pass them. So it presents a unique challenge for Utah, especially on the transparency and accountability front. But we finally have some numbers to see, how big of a issue this is and how much, political capital and energy lawmakers need to put towards it. And I'll leave that for you to decide whether, about 5,000 families here in Utah getting $8,000 a year of taxpayer money to homeschool is a big deal that deserves a lot of legislative time. Some lawmakers definitely think so, others not. But keep an eye on that. This is going to come up in the legislative session, especially with these numbers published by the Deseret News today. I've linked to it with some additional background information for those who haven't followed this closely on our Facebook page, and we'll be back after this quick look at the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. A bizarre story playing out in Grantsville where a Utah mother is facing child abandonment and child abuse charges after her 9-year-old daughter was found alone and neglected inside a trailer near Grantsville Reservoir. Now, police responded back on September 18th after family members reported that the girl was starving and thirsty. Now, officers found the child covered in dirt and wearing a badly stained dress. She quickly drank an entire gallon of water provided by police. Now, court documents state that the girl and her mother had been living in the trailer for weeks with no running water. Now, the victim alleged that her mother, who would disappear for days, was often drunk or high on methamphetamine and became violent. Now, the girl, who reportedly had not been to school in years, was transported for care for possible dehydration and malnutrition. Police said that the mother never contacted authorities to report the girl missing after her rescue. Now, officers later served a search warrant, finding trailers on the property contaminated with dog feces, urine, and also garbage. And U.S. Olympic and Paralympic leaders joined Utah's First Lady Abby Cox for a service project yesterday, assembling over 5,000 snack kits for underserved students. Now, Cox said that the event was a chance to show the sports leaders what Utah does best, and that's serving and giving back. Now, the kits will be distributed to students in the Grantsville School District to help prevent hunger. U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee Chairman Gene Sykes said that the project embodied the spirit of the Olympic movement by bringing people together for a shared mission. And FanX, one of Utah's largest pop culture conventions, is underway at the Salt Palace Convention Center with increased security. Now, organizers have doubled security for the event in the wake of the recent shooting at UVU. FanX producer Dan Farr said that attendees will notice more police inside and outside the venue, a planned measure to ensure a safe environment. Now, the event, which is now in its 12th year, has grown to attract thousands of visitors who pack the entire convention hall. Now, despite the heightened security, many attendees and vendors said that they feel safe and appreciate the organization's approach to being proactive when it comes to security. And, of course, it's high school football tonight as one game, Logan's, has actually been moved up. Logan will be facing off against Union. That game will now kick off at 6 o'clock with our pregame show beginning at 5:50 right here on KVNU. Other games, it's homecoming for Green Canyon as they will be hosting Bear River tonight. Skyview is hosting Ridgeline, while Mountain Crest is traveling to Deseret Peak. And weather-wise, going to be a beautiful night for high school football as temperatures been in the low 80s today. Tonight will drop into the low 40s, be back to around 82 tomorrow with mostly sunny skies. We'll start to see some increasing clouds by Sunday as temperatures are going to finish off the weekend right around the high 70s. And then we'll start to see a chance of some showers and thunderstorms that will continue into the first half of next week. And congratulations to our latest Above and Beyond Salute winner. This morning we announced Pam Siemens, who is a longtime nurse at Logan Regional Hospital. She was nominated by an anonymous individual who noted that Pam is loved by her patients and her colleagues. So we gave her a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs to thank her for being a hero in our community. Of course, you can always nominate somebody by going to our website, kvnutalk.com, and clicking on the Above and Beyond Salute. And I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU News headlines.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Lawmakers now just 4 days away from a government shutdown. Democratic House Leader Hakeem Jeffries criticized Republicans for going on vacation, he says, and President Trump for canceling talks with Democratic leaders to try and work on sticking points on a stopgap measure, including changes to Medicaid.
Republicans want to shut down the government. They want to continue to inflict pain on the American people, and they want to continue to gut the health care of everyday Americans.
The president has vowed to furlough federal workers and issue permanent layoffs if a shutdown occurs. The UN Security Council today rejecting efforts to delay sanctions from being reimposed on Iran over its nuclear program and refusal to international oversight. Today marks 1 year since Hurricane Helene pushed inland, carving a destructive path across 7 states with flooding and mudslides, killing in all 249 people. Forecasters now watching a developing storm in the Atlantic that could become a hurricane next week and target the Carolinas. This is ABC News.
Local news and the best talk. News Talk KVNU.
Bringing Wall Street to Main Street. From your local experts in downtown Logan, this is the Adams Wealth Advisors Market Report.
Stocks bounced back on Friday, recovering some of the week's earlier losses after PCE inflation data came in as expected. This keeps hopes alive for possible interest rate cuts soon, especially since this was the last PCE report before the Fed's October meeting. Still, we'll get new CPI and PPI data next month. The Dow rose 300 points to 46,247. The Nasdaq gained 0.44% to 24,504, and the S&P 500 climbed 0.59% to 6,644. Gains are broad across all sectors, though tech and consumer staples lagged. Tech faces valuation concerns, while consumer staples are struggling with higher tariffs. In bonds, shorter-term yields fell while longer-term yields inched higher. The 5-year Treasury stayed at 3.77%, and the 10-year rose slightly to 4.18%. Economic data was mixed. Hard data showed strength. Personal income and spending in August beat forecasts. But surveys showed consumer sentiment dropped in September, continuing a recent trend. Overall, this week's numbers suggest the economy remains solid, with few items pointing to potentially higher long-term interest rates. Looking ahead, next week brings the jobs report and the ISM services data. Markets will also be watching Washington, where another government shutdown fight is brewing.
That's your update from Adams Wealth Advisors, guiding your financial future one day at a time. For personalized help planning yours, reach out to us at 435-752-1702. See you soon, Cache Valley. Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com.
From all of us at Prodigy Brewing, thank you. We've been named gold winner for craft beer in 2025 Best of Northern Utah, and it's all thanks to you.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Earlier in the week, we talked quite a bit about redistricting with the 2 committee meetings this week, and now 6 maps that have been thrown out there that lawmakers will consider as the redistricting committee continues its work. They will meet next on October 6th. The legislature will. Before then, the committee has the option to call additional meetings. They haven't yet, saying that they think they covered it last week. We'll see on that, whether the committee meets again. So in between now and then, Utah residents, well, you have 10 days to weigh in on this. And when this first opened this morning, there were about 1,000 comments on the 6 maps prior to 8 a.m. It launched at 7, and scores more may have been logged, but not posted yet. There's a process this goes through to make sure it's they're screened to see if someone is just trolling or using profanity, things like that. They don't post those on the website. They're still logged, so there's still a public record of every comment that comes in that is published later. But they don't post the profanity-laden rants against Governor Cox and stuff like that from a Phil Lyman supporter on the website for everyone to see. So the committee again will meet October 6th in the morning and recommend one of these 6 maps. Now, there's a lot of people saying this is just a dog and pony show. They already know which map they're going to recommend. They're just pretending to take public feedback. And I get why people feel that way, because that's what they've done. That's what they did in 2020. That's what they did in 2010. In this case, though, where they're being told by a judge that there are legalities involved here on their actions for being in compliance with Proposition 4, the Better Boundaries Initiative that voters approved on the ballots in 2018, lawmakers, I think, are being a little more careful, a little less flippant about their obligation to listen to the public. So that's not to say they don't already know what they're going to do, but they're at least doing a little more than paying it lip service this time. So I would encourage everyone to go weigh in, and here's how you can do that. So it's a complicated. The easiest way to do it actually is go to the For the People Facebook page. And I've posted a link there that will take you directly to the My Redistricting site, which is the Utah Legislative Redistricting Committee's public feedback portal. And it's complex there. So you can. So primarily, what's at stake here are the congressional races. But if you're curious, you can also look at. You'll see Congress in the tabs there. But you can also look at the 75 House districts, 15 school districts, and 29 Senate districts to see if they change in any way. I'll just tell you now, they don't. The only thing that's going to change here are the boundaries of the 4 federal delegates' congressional districts: Malloy, Owens, Kennedy, and of course Blake-Moore here in District 1. Their district boundaries are going to change. How and to where, we don't know yet. But you can look at the 6 potential changes in these maps. I'll read this out for those that want it read out. But again, it's a complex link that is not friendly at all to share on air. It is citygate.utledge.gov/leg districting for ledge. Get it, LEG. Citygate.utledge.gov/leg districting. I don't know why they didn't just put the E in there, so it would actually be ledge districting. But and then you have to click on Utah, and then you have to click on comment. But again, easier way to do this is to just go to the For the People Facebook page. I've linked to it there. And basically you can submit comments, your thoughts on all 6 maps. You don't have to do all 6. If you look at the 6 and only one makes you think something that you feel is relevant or needs to be heard by members of the committee, or that you want at least recorded as a public record that you made the comment, you can do that again at citygate.utledge.gov/leg LEG districting. Don't ask me; they make these links, but again, that's complex. So I've linked to it on our Facebook page, and all 6 maps are on display there. You can just basically click through and review the maps. You can download the maps themselves at le.utah.gov/interim, or just go to the legislative website, le.utah.gov, click on interim, click on 2025, and the first thing you'll see there is a PDF you can download of the 6 maps. You can also see the data behind this if you really want to get into it. And you can zoom in on these maps. You can look at actual street-level data for your address. Now, here in Cache Valley, I don't think moving the congressional district is going to affect anyone in Cache Valley. There's a chance. Now, none of these maps that are on display, none of these 6 maps that supposedly will be the maps they choose from are on display right now at the legislative website actually do this, but there was a map that was, I think it was option D. I could be wrong. No, it was option B. There was a map that did actually extend the District 2 boundary up into Rich County. I don't think that's a good idea, and I don't think neither the Democrats or the 2 Democrats or the 8 Republicans on the committee thought it was a good idea, or 6 Republicans on the committee thought it was a good idea. But that is out there. For the most part, for those who haven't seen it, the proposed maps suggest, so 3 of the 6 options, 1 or A, C, and B, A, B, and C, the first 3 maps you'll see, offer basically no noticeable change to District 1, to Congressional District 1, Congressman Blake-Moore's district, our district, which covers basically Box Elder County, Cache County, Weber County, and Rich County. But the other 3 maps make significant changes to Congressional District 1. And one of those, option D, for example, has Congressional District 1 basically starting in the upper left-hand corner of the state, up there on the Utah, Nevada, Idaho 3 corners point, and coming across Box Elder County, no longer Weber County, but Box Elder County and some of Willard, I think, maybe, just looking at the map here without zooming in, Cache County, Rich County, and then it would continue on down across the right side of the state. All of the most eastern portions of the state, including down at the bottom, San Juan County, would be lumped into District 1. And that was the most drastic change to our congressional district. It would basically be the whole northern and then eastern third of the state, all the way down to the Arizona border, would be in Congressman Moore's district. So that would lump us here in Cache County and Box Elder County in with San Juan County down in the Four Corners region. Yeah, so I mean that's the two things about that. One, well, and let me go on really quickly here. Option E does a less drastic change, but still kind of drastic, where again across the northern part of the state, as the Congressional District 1 already does, but taking Weber County out of the mix, and then extending it down all the way down the eastern side of the state to Vernal. That's a pretty drastic change. The other, this one's submitted by Democrats. Actually, the only change it makes to Congressman Moore's district is it lumps the another 25% of the state on the western side into Congressional District 1, which is currently at this point Congressional District 3. So, yeah, a lot of variations on this, but the one thing that's interesting about this is it shows you two things. One, it shows you exactly what lawmakers were trying to do with the 2020 gerrymandering to crack up Salt Lake County, because you see the size of these districts in some of the map proposals. District 1 and 2 and 3, depending on where you put them and how they change shapes and sizes, are like a third of the geographical body of the state. And the one thing that kind of stays the same is the area around Salt Lake County and Utah County, where you have two congressional districts in this tiny little central point of the state. But it's illustrative of where everybody lives, because part of the consideration on this is population. You don't want too many people in any single congressional district and then too few people in another. So to get, as close to equal populations in the district, that's what you have to do. You have to make District 1 be the entire northern part of the state and then the entire eastern part of the state, or the entire northern part of the state and then all the way down past Harriman on the west side. And District 3 has to be an entire third of the state, depending on where you put it on the left or the right, coming up from southern Utah. And yet District 4 is just Provo. Provo and Saratoga Springs. It's really illustrative of the problem you have with these redistricting, or the challenge you have with these redistricting projects. Because, by far the majority of people in Utah live along the Wasatch Front and in Salt Lake County and in Utah County. And makes the maps look pretty weird. But check them out. Again, I've linked to it on our Facebook page, how you can comment starting this morning. You now have what's left of today and 9 additional days to make a public comment before the Legislative Committee closes this window and holds their next and final meeting ahead of a full-on meeting of the legislature. So I've linked to it on the Facebook page if you want to check it out there, or you can visit citygate.utledge.gov/leg, L-E-G, districting. Don't ask me. We'll be back right after this.
This is Clay from Canyon Plumbing and Heating. Fall is here, and those chilly Cache Valley nights aren't far behind. Let us check your furnace, boiler, or plumbing so you don't have to worry when the cold hits. Don't wait until you're stuck without heat. Call today and mention this commercial for 10% off your next service. Call Canyon Plumbing and Heating at 435-881-6952. Canyon Plumbing and Heating, keeping Cache Valley warm since 2005.
The Cache Valley Media Group Logan Holiday Gift Show is Friday and Saturday, November 14th and 15th at the Riverwoods Conference Center. It is the perfect place to show your holiday foods, gifts, decor, clothing, books, jewelry, purses, baby items. The list is endless for business and holiday fun. Search Logan Holiday Gift Show for details or call 752-1390 for more information. Friday and Saturday, November 14th and 15th at the Riverwoods Conference Center. Reserve your booth space today. Logan's premier holiday gift show.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
As a lifelong Idahoan, I know the importance of defending our values and protecting our way of life. I'm Congressman Mike Simpson, and I'm proud to work alongside President Trump to deliver our conservative agenda for Idaho families, driving down inflation, securing the border, and returning to American energy independence. It's an honor to be your voice in Congress and to fight for a stronger, safer, and more prosperous nation. To learn more about my work in Washington and across Idaho, visit simpson.house.gov.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
For 100 years, the Murdoch Auto Team has served Utah's automotive needs. The generations before us taught us to treat every customer with honesty, dignity, and respect. And as the fourth generation, we'll continue that tradition at Murdoch GMC Chevrolet Cadillac. During the anniversary sale, take up to $6,000 off a new 2025 Sierra 2500. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family. At Murdoch Chevrolet GMC Cadillac in Logan or online at MurdochChevroletLogan.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Call 888-391-6083 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 9/30/25.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Daines at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology for an appointment and let them show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Monday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show will break down all the drama surrounding, believe it or not, the Ryder Cup, where President Trump is spending the weekend. And we'll get you started for the latest on the Comey prosecution, the ongoing battle over shutdowns. Will they or won't they happen, and more. That'll be the Monday edition. Come hang with us on Clay and Buck.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM at 610 AM.
That's it for hour one of today's show, but I hope you stay tuned. The For the People movie show with Andy Morgan up next here on KVNU Logan. We'll be talking one battle after another with Paul Thomas Anderson movie written and directed by Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, and the Taylor Swift album launch party planned at Megaplex theaters throughout the state. That's next here on KVNU Logan.